In a world of changing climate, disasters are a growing risk for our citizens and for our economy. Over the last 3 decades, the costs of disasters have quadrupled, from annual average of $50 billion a year in the 80s to over $200 billion a year now.
You can't prevent rain, you can't prevent storms and so on. That's one of the problems with natural hazards. We can't prevent the actual phenomena, but we can prevent some of the consequences.
The link between sustainable development and disaster risk reduction is more and more understood. What this has implied is actually a very important switch from disaster preparedness and response towards a disaster prevention culture. This has been proven to be extremely useful also in terms of engaging political space.
We know that prevention is better than cure. That is why good planning and good preparation can help limit the scale of climate impacts and even save lives.
Every dollar, every euro, every yen we invest in risk reduction brings 4 to 7 times in return.
In order to build resilience and reduce risks, we need cooperation on many different levels.
Focusing on education to risk, on risk governance, of course on the Making Cities Resilient campaign, and the needs of vulnerable groups such as children, people with disabilities and migrants.
We now have in the EU the first legislation that makes compulsory disaster risk reduction activities. This is an extremely relevant and important consideration. It has been made thanks to the European Commission, of course the European Union institutions, but also thanks to the European parliamentarian. They being able in fact to hook disaster risk reduction within the main discussions that have been taking place in the Parliament. Similarly, we've seen the same thing at the national governments, where in fact the political space has highly increased.
Last year, the European Parliament adopted the new civil protection mechanism, which presents a breakthrough in disaster risk reduction.
In November 2009, with the help from the UNISDR, over 20 countries from across Europe gathered in London. At that meeting, we agreed to form the European Forum for Disaster Risk Reduction. The forum has moved a long way in the last 6 years, but regularly share expertise with each other, meet annually and form working groups.
We have already integrated disaster risk management in a range of our policies, including civil protection, environment, climate change adaptation, internal security, health, research and innovation.
Through partnership with and among the European institutions, the European Commission, Council of Europe, Europa, but also the Nordic Network or Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Initiative for Southeastern Europe, what we are seeing that the institutions have been moving together in order to create a culture of resilience. However, what has been absolutely key to the success of the implementation of the Hyogo Framework for Action has been the work undertaken by the Hyogo Framework for Action focal points. The Hyogo Framework for Action focal points are the governmental counterpart that have been nominated in order to interact with UNISDR and implement the Hyogo Framework for Action at the national level. What they've done has been a tremendous work in order to truly build knowledge and understanding of the topic among the institutions at the national level, but also to trigger the engagement of the regional organizations towards the local support.
Also Katastrophen kennen keine Grenzen. In dem Sinn, denke ich, ist es auch ganz wichtig, dass wir gemeindeübergreifend, aber auch international im Katastrophenschutz zusammenarbeiten, Know-how teilen, uns austauschen, voneinander lernen, vor allem jetzt in Zeiten des Klimawandels.
Ergebnisse zeigen, dass die Tiroler Methode der Risikoanalyse funktioniert und auch die unzähligen Freiwilligenhelfer im Land damit vernünftig und gut arbeiten können. Damit leistet das Projekt einen wesentlichen Beitrag für die Sicherheit im Land.
U protekloj dekadi elementarne nepogode su postale sve učestalije i razornije usled sve intenzivnijih i opasnijih klimatskih promjena koje ugrožavaju budućnost naše planete i koje zahtevaju naš kolektivni napor da budu obuzdane. Prošle 2014. godine katastrofalne poplave su nažalost pogodile i moju zemlju, Republiku Srbiju, koje su obuhvatile značajni deo teritorije zemlje i 1.600.000 stanovnika Srbije. U 3 dana nezapamćenih padavina izazvana je ozbiljna šteta infrastrukturi, zgradama, energetskom sektoru, vodosnabdevanju, putevima i mostovima, kao i poljoprivredi, jer je 80.000 hektara poljoprivrednog zemljišta bilo pod vodom. 33 ljudi je izgubilo život, a preko 35.000 ljudi je bilo primorano da napusti svoje domove. Grad Obrenovac u blizini Beograda je bio najteže pogođen i potpuno poplavljen. Ukupna šteta na teritoriji Republike Srbije iznosila je 1,5 milijardu evra, što značajno utiče na smanjenje našeg društvenog bruto proizvoda.
Our strategy is quite simple: coordination, motivation and participation. At this moment, we have more than 40 stakeholders who work with us: local authorities, municipal service, academia, school community, private sector and non-governmental associations. With their motivation and participation, it was possible to improve our capacity to manage a disaster situation. The UNISDR has helped a lot to put disaster risk reduction in our municipality agenda.
Our work includes the entire spectrum of threats and risks, from everyday accidents to major disasters. To help us with this broad task, we have developed a number of tools. One of those tools is the Swedish National Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction, which we use for the implementation of the Hyogo Framework for Action. One example is the Making Cities Resilient campaign. 8 municipalities in Sweden are now active in the campaign, and they have established a local level network to share challenges and solutions. I think it is very important that the post-2015 framework can continue to support this initiative.
We believe that cooperation between cities that have different risk or at the same risk is very important, because then we can exchange knowledge, both good knowledge and bad knowledge, and we learn from each other all the time.
We recognize that concrete results can only be achieved through partnership that includes civil society, business, governments and the international organizations.
The Hyogo Framework action that has an impact on the Dutch policy. It articulated a risk-based approach. We have to take into account post-event measures that systems may fail. We reformed our strategy in the past decade, and it was not a response to a disaster. It's a proactive reformation of the policy.
What we try to do, or try to advocate, is that once you develop your city and you grow more economic activity, try to take into account that you don't become more vulnerable or more exposed.
Yeah, a great part of the island is below sea level. So if there's really a disaster, there could be many casualties on this island, and we must prepare ourselves to a possible disaster.
In 2012, in consultation with the UNISDR, the UK undertook the first peer review within the HFA. The review was to assess the progress in the implementation of the HFA at local and national level, against the criteria set out in the UN monitoring tool. Peer reviewers came from Finland, Italy and Sweden, and the team of 7 was supported by the OECD, the EC and the UNISDR. They interviewed over 90 stakeholders in the UK from 48 different organisations and had field visits to our Met Office and Natural Hazards Partnership. This was a great experience for everyone involved. In 2013, Finland was being peer reviewed and 11 UK nationals put themselves forward to be reviewers, mainly as a result of their experience from the first review.
We all have to take very seriously now what's happening for the long-term future, the way climate change is affecting us. From a Greater Manchester perspective, we're making sure that all of our natural features, our geographical features, are aligned with all of our urban planning and our building, go together to make sure that we keep Greater Manchester continuing to grow during a difficult period.
We found the United Nations was doing its Resilient Cities programme. It seemed something that we wanted to do in Greater Manchester. We're going to start working with the United Nations in this Resilient Cities programme to improve life for people in Greater Manchester.
Local and regional authorities are the front line of disaster management, responsible for prevention and immediate rescue and response operations. They need knowledge, tools and resources to protect life, property, the economy and the environment.
Within the last decade, we have achieved valuable results in implementing the Yoga Framework for Action. Thanks to the many initiatives undertaken under its auspices and in close synergy with the local authorities, it has been possible to foster the reduction of both the likelihood and the associated effects of disasters. We strongly believe in the crucial role played by local communities in addressing disaster risk, protecting the most vulnerable and making disaster risk reduction effective, and are fully committed to support them.
We run the risk to lose physically the city of Venice due to the fact that the exceptional meteorological event pushed the water level inside the lagoon up to more than 2 meters over the mean sea level. The risk was that if the littoral defense were completely overtopped, we could have had waves up to 6 meters in front of San Marco Square. This would have mean the physical destroy of the Doge Palace and other important buildings. This national problem was addressed with some special legislation for Venice. Not only that physical defense was addressed, but also a number of different issues, including the environmental ones. And as you may see from the picture behind me, the morphological restoration was part of this, but also the defense of the littoral islands, which close the lagoon from the sea. So the idea is to block the rising of the water in the lagoon, allowing a difference between the level of water in the sea and the level of water inside the lagoon.
МЧС России готова к серьезной системной работе, которая потребует дальнейшей международной координации, взаимодействия и применения новых современных технологий и коммуникаций. В этих целях планируем провести в Москве в октябре этого года крупнейший международный конгресс по управлению рисками. Он станет современным этапом нашей совместной работы в контексте новой рамочной программы. Сформированы мощные реагирующие группировки спасателей и пожарных и специализированные подразделения работ особого риска. Они готовы защитить человека от чрезвычайной ситуации в любой точке земного шара.
We have done an estimation through one of our ministries, and the study showed that 6 million out of, I believe, 22 million buildings are supposed to be either retrofitted or demolished and rebuilt again. Right now, Turkey is concentrating on basically either reconstructing all of those buildings or retrofitting them. By 2017, at most, at least, the target is to reach to 100% for the schooling. So our goal is both for hospitals and schools to have safe schools and safe hospitals. So we strongly believe that this is going to have some impact on the initiative of safe school programs of UNISDR and of the UN project indeed. So we have been trying to share this experience that we have with the rest of the world indeed, and we are trying to do that, and we will.
Вот уже несколько лет Республика Беларусь активно сотрудничает в международной стратегии ООН по сокращению риска бедствий. В 2012 году официально номинирована национальная платформа Республики Беларусь и определен национальный координатор. С этого времени в рамках взаимодействия проведено ряд различных мероприятий. Одним из примеров такого взаимодействия – вовлечение белорусских населенных пунктов в кампанию создания устойчивых городов и населенных пунктов. И мы можем сегодня констатировать, что столица нашей республики, город Минск, вовлечен в эту кампанию. Важным значением для нас имеет то, что наши специалисты участвуют в различных обучающих семинарах, курсах, что позволяет изучать и внедрять передовой опыт, мировой опыт в решении вопросов по защите населения и территорий от чрезвычайных ситуаций. И ярким подтверждением тому является наметившаяся в последнее время тенденция по сокращению трагедий в Республике Беларусь и гибели от них людей. Проведенные личные встречи, личное общение с представителями международной стратегии ООН позволяет мне с уверенностью говорить, что наши отношения продолжатся, главной целью которых будет спасение жизни людей.
Together, we are delivering more coherent disaster risk reduction policies. We are helping countries take stock of disaster losses, and we are promoting the role of the private sector.
All of these recent developments are a clear sign of the priority the European Parliament has assigned to this topic, reflecting European citizens' demands.
Adapting to climate change and reducing the risk of disasters are two of the most fundamental challenges for territorial development in Europe. It is clear this requires long-term preparations and forward-looking adaptation planning.
The new Hyogo Framework for Action is an opportunity for the international community to make a collective leap in disaster risk management. A leap we need to make in order to deal with the increasingly complex and fragile world we live in.
What we will need to do following Sendai and following the next framework is of course to continue creating this culture of prevention and resilience. We will need to avoid creating new risk. We will need to work more with technology and innovation, but also work more and better with the private sector.
Желаем участникам Всемирной конференции добра, удачи, благополучия, плодотворной и эффективной работы. Всего доброго.
Želim vam uspjeh u radu i plodotvornu konferenciju.
I hope that our strong partnership will grow closer in the future. And I wish all the best for the Sendai Conference and beyond.
I am extremely proud and thankful to all the partners in Europe that have been collaborating with UNISDR and have been embracing the agenda. The challenges ahead of us are many, and I really hope and I would like to encourage all of you to continue to strive towards a resilient Europe.